So, the Little Book of Green Nudges is basically a quick guide to reducing your campus's environmental impact through behavior change. It's a booklet that summarizes the evidence around what nudges work best, while also seeking to encourage more sustainable practices among students and staff across several behavioral areas. It provides simple guidance on how to implement and evaluate behavioral interventions in a variety of contexts. And so it's basically meant to show you what kind of nudges can be implemented on campus, how they can be implemented. Um, and the booklet provides an overview of 40 different nudges that have been and can be implemented on different campuses. Now, to offer a bit more background into how we came to develop this booklet, um, as we all know, climate change has been highlighted as one of the most critical consequences of unsustainable consumption and production patterns. And so we just kind of got to thinking, how can we make a difference in how people consume, how things are produced, different patterns that are influenced by many different actors in society. And so, seeing that universities are the incubators of future entrepreneurs and leaders, business people, decision makers, um, it kind of felt natural that we would focus on the university environment. And so, linking climate change resilience and mitigation efforts with low carbon lifestyles offers an opportunity to kind of re examine our social and economic systems, and also to consider how lifestyle choices affect the environment. Seeing that universities are the incubators of future leaders and decision makers, how can we best, or how can universities best equip students with the skills and knowledge that they need in order to help achieve the SDGs, and also just to facilitate more sustainable behaviors of individuals, both on campus and also beyond? Because kind of the things that students tend to learn on campus can have an enormous impact on the environment and on their lives in the future. Universities are ideal places for instilling kind of these pro environmental values because students are often away from home for the first time. They're not only forming new routines, but also new identities. And if sustainable habits become part of their lifestyles at this point in time, there's a high chance these behaviors will last for a long time, maybe even a lifetime. A powerful way to encourage more sustainable habits is to nudge students and also other campus community members to make better decisions. There's a robust body of behavioral science research that points to effective ways to encourage sustainable actions through techniques like changing the framing of choices, setting defaults, and harnessing social influence. And so the vision behind this piece of work is basically just to help universities, which includes staff and students, around the world to significantly reduce their environmental impact through behavioral change. And this will ultimately help to protect biodiversity and the natural world that we know we all rely on. Um, and so, through this booklet, the mission is to provide evidence based nudging options derived from this field of research and to support universities in developing, implementing, and evaluating behavioral change interventions, and then to promote more sustainable lifestyles on their campuses. Now, in case you're wondering what a nudge really is, I just want to give you a quick kind of overview. So, a nudge is a positive and gentle persuasion to help influence behaviors and decisions. This can include choice architecture, default setting, social influence, increased salience, etc. So, it basically means instead of telling someone to do something, you're presenting them with options that will likely nudge them to take on more sustainable behaviors rather than outright telling them to do it. Um, we think that nudging is an important method to use because providing information to people doesn't always mean that they will take action. So, simply informing people isn't always the most effective way to bring about change. We're not robots, we're not computers, we're fairly complex creatures. And so, it can be much more effective to kind of, nudge people in the direction that you want them to go rather than simply inform them about something. The Little Book of Green Nudges was pretty much created for anyone who wants to create positive change at their university anywhere around the world. Um, So it's not just for the provosts and the kind of campus sustainability coordinators, although it is also for them. But this can also be taken on by student leaders, faculty members, staff members, basically anyone on campus that's interested in making a positive change. And so you as the Green Office Network is actually a very key kind of group that we would love to get involved because students can often influence really powerful change on their campuses and their communities when they rally together. And so getting you as the Green Office Network involved in this would be really brilliant. And I'll talk a bit more about what that could look like in a bit. As I mentioned before, seeing that students spend most of their time on campus, universities represent a key timely moment for intervention, as so many students are establishing new habits, new routines, um, and because their lifestyle choices will have an enormous impact on our economy, society, and environment in the future, it's kind of an important part of the population to engage with. Currently, there are 250 million students enrolled in higher education, which means 250 million students are making lifestyle choices every day. And this number is only set to increase. So the projected number is that by 2040, there will be around 600 million students in the world. So it could have a huge impact if all 600 million of these students were being kind of influenced by sustainable behavior change nudges. Now, I just wanted to give you a really quick overview of kind of the behavior change theory that went into this booklet. So, we worked with the Behavioral Insights Institute to commission this research, and they work with a framework called the EAST framework. So, the first part is make it easy. This is based on the idea that people often take the path of least resistance. So making something very easy to engage with will highly increase your participation and likelihood of success. Second, make it attractive. This is based on the idea that humans are more likely to adopt a behavior when it captures their attention or when it's in line with their motivation and beliefs. Next, we have make it social. Human behavior is hugely influenced by what others around us are doing. And so bringing a social element to this can really increase kind of the chances of success as well. And lastly, we have make it timely. We all know kind of that people are creatures of habit. And so nudges are most effective at moments of change in people's lives, which again ties back to the idea of doing this in universities where students are kind of forming their new habits and behaviors. So now I just wanted to share a couple of case studies with you, just to give more of a concrete idea around what these nudges look like in practice. So in our booklet, we've included 40 different nudges, and we have a variety of examples that were shared with us from campuses around the world that we also included, just to kind of tie it back to what this looks like on the ground. So the first example here is from Mahidol University in Thailand. And they made recycling very attractive and eye catching by installing these recyclable waste banks. Where people can collect recycling points that basically mimic a bank's withdrawal and transaction system. So when people deposit recyclable items, they get a bank statement that shows the value of those items. They can then withdraw this in cash or save it for later in their account. And the university's IT division created software for the project. And now these banks have actually expanded beyond campuses into local elementary schools. They found a bit of a barrier to implementation was to raise the awareness that these banks exist. And so the university has put quite a bit of effort into promoting this to new staff and students. We also have an example here from Tongji University in China, who kind of do something similar. They've installed these waste sorting gaming machines that kind of allow people to sort garbage and recycling in a fun way. So it's just kind of an engaging, incentivizing way to recycle. Next, we have an example from Karatina University in Kenya. They recently branded themselves a green university. And what they've done is they established a Green Innovations Competition Week where teams of students submit projects that are meant to address different environmental issues through different types of innovations. And then the winning teams receive prizes. So it's a way to get students involved in coming up with the solutions to these kind of different environmental issues. Now, our last two examples for today, we have one from UBC Canada. And this university runs a seasonal shutdown campaign, which encourages campus department buildings to turn off and unplug electronics during the winter break. And they also provide a checklist, which is kind of considered to be an additional nudge because it makes it easier for people to actually take part in this. And so, yeah, this encourages reduced electricity use during times when the buildings aren't in use. Then we have an example from the University College Cork in Ireland, and they've reduced the hassle of using reusable cups by installing cup washers on campus. And by doing this, they saw a 20% increase in reusable cup use. So just making it easier for people to bring and use and wash their cups has actually seen a significant change in the kind of cups that people are using. Now, that was kind of an overview of just a few of the examples, but I encourage you to check out the publication to see more types of examples from different parts of the world. Now, I just kind of wanted to give you a quick overview of the process. So, in the first phase, we did the research and created and launched the Little Book of Green Nudges. So, it was launched on September 1st, and now we're in the second phase around outreach and calling for nominations. So, this is where my kind of presentation comes in. Calling you as the Green Office Network to action to get engaged with this. And I'll share more details around this in the next slide. And then the second phase will lead into the third phase, which is the pilot phase. And this will run from early to late 2021 and will basically involve campuses from around the world implementing some of these nudges on the ground on their campuses. So now here, how can you get involved? So I'll just take you through a few of the kind of steps to involvement here. But first, I just wanted to say that I think you, as the Green Office Network, could be a huge driver for kind of this nudge implementation and behavior change on campus. Because we often find that initiatives that have student engagement are just so much more powerful. Having kind of that bottom up engagement can really help to make things happen on the ground. And so I would love to see some of the Green offices around the world getting involved in this. I'll share the overview with you now, but if you have any questions beyond that, please do send me an email. It's included at the end of the presentation. And I'd be happy to answer any further questions around that. So for the quick overview of how you can get involved, the first step would be to nominate your campus. I'll share the link to the website with you where you can nominate your campus. There's a sign-up form there. And then you sign your campus up as a pilot as a pilot campus, and then you choose your action. So you would look through the Little Book of Green Nudges. There's 40 nudge options, and you would kind of decide which one or more nudges you want to implement on your campus. We hosted an info session on this earlier this month, but I'll be happy to share the recording of that with you so that you can kind of get an idea around more of the details of what the pilot phase will involve. Then you'll submit your commitment and an implementation plan, which will just be you filling out a form that we provide, just so we get a better understanding of how you'll implement these nudges. And then you'll go ahead and implement. So then the year of 2021 will be all about getting this going, implementing your nudge on the ground, and then sharing progress at the halfway mark, and then evaluating the entire pilot phase and how it went at the end of the year. So that will kind of involve sharing with us what went well, what didn't go well, was the nudge successful, what were the barriers to implementation. And then the idea is to get this kind of database of best practices to share with other universities who want to implement nudges on campus. And so, yeah, I think I just want to reiterate that anyone who is able to implement a nudge on their campus is more than welcome to sign their university up. So it doesn't just have to be a high level person from the university. It can be anyone that is able to, yeah, to influence the implementation of this. Now, before I wrap up, I just wanted to bring one more project to your attention because we're working on kind of a variety of different pieces around engaging higher education in sustainability. And so this one here is our global climate letter and the race to zero, which I think might be of interest to you. So in early 2019, we launched the Global Climate Letter along two of our partners, EAUC and Second Nature. And basically, this was a letter calling for the declaration of a climate emergency from higher education. And then signatories committed to the following. So they committed, one, to mobilizing more resources for climate change research. Secondly, to pledge to reach net zero by 2050 at the latest. And then their third commitment was to increase the delivery of environmental and sustainability education across curriculum and also throughout their campus. And so now we've joined up with the President's Leadership Commitments, which is another kind of net zero alliance in the US. And we together are representing the higher education sector in the race to zero leading up to COP26. And so as of now, we have 576 universities and colleges that have signed up to go net zero by 2050 at the latest. And just to note that many also have earlier decarbonization targets. I've included a link here that you're welcome to check out. And I encourage anyone to raise this to the university. Maybe first check if your university has already signed up. You can see the list in that link there. And then, yeah, share this with your universities through your networks. Our goal is to reach 1,000 signatories by COP26, which will take place in late 2021. And if you have any more questions around this, you can also just shoot me an email. All right, so that's kind of the overview of what I wanted to share with you today. So the call to action around getting involved with the Little Book of Green Nudges pilot phase, I've included the website link here. Please do check it out. You'll see more information about everything there and a link to the publication itself, as well as the sign up form. And just to flag, the website might have a deadline for the signups, but because this presentation here has already passed, like the deadline has already passed, we'll give you about a week or so to sign up if you're interested. So we'll have kind of a special extension for this specific network because we'd love to get some of your green offices involved in this. So yeah, if you have any questions about the Little Book of Green Nudges, the pilot phase, or the race to zero, please do send me an email. You can see my information here on the screen. And thank you so much for having me today. I hope you all stay safe, and I hope to see some of you signing up to join us. Thank you.